Welcome to the Your Living Proof podcast. If you love someone struggling with addiction and are searching for answers, we're so glad you found us. Families are the cornerstone of long-term recovery, yet they often go unsupported. Our mission is to strengthen and support this vital but often overlooked part of the addiction recovery process. We're here to help families understand what their role is and isn't in this journey. Addiction deceives and takes everything you're willing to give. But if you know better, you can do better. And we're here to help you do just that. If you're asking, how can I help my addicted loved one? This is your community.
If you enjoy watching podcasts, be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel. For more support and resources between episodes, follow us on Instagram at Your Living Proof or visit our website at yourlivingproof.com. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Your Living Proof podcast. Can I just say we're so thankful for your support, continued support.
Yeah, we are.
Those of you who listen to this, continue to follow us, and most importantly, continue to share it with others.
Yes. We've had quite a few people say, oh my gosh, these last episodes I've shared with all my friends, and it helps so much. So thank you.
It's growing. The podcast is growing, and it's thanks to you guys for spreading the word and sharing it with other people. And speaking on some comments, the last episode, if you missed it, you got to go back and listen. It's a controversial one. You may even have mixed feelings about it, but it is one that is running rampant, and it's one that has caused quite a bit of an uproar for both good and bad, as far as people in the feedback they have around the subject. So I'm not going to, actually, it's going to be a teaser. I'm not going to tell you what it's about. If you missed it, you got to go back and listen.
Definitely.
But it's a good one. But summer's in full force. Everything's blooming where we live. We live in a place that's basically dead for half the year, frozen, and then it comes back to life in the most beautiful way. And all of the beautiful pollen and things that are popping out of all these plants and flowers has got a hold of me, and I am learning to live on, what do you call that medication? Like
Sudafed?
No, the daily stuff. Like,
oh, Allegra?
Yeah, just allergy medications. I did not have this when I was younger.
Yeah.
Things get weird when we get older.
I know you've had a tough go at it, and it makes me sad. We have another kid that one of our boys is like allergic to summer, it seems. So like every year, this time of year, I'm like, oh my gosh, buddy, we're on so much Sudafed.
Yeah. But hey, we got an amazing topic today. We'll get over the sinus stuff and get on to the important stuff. Most of you are here because you have someone in your life that you love, that you care about, a relationship with someone important to you, and you see them heading down this path. They may be heading down the path of destruction right now, and it's scary, or they may just be totally engulfed in the flames of hell right now. But either way,
and you're there with them.
Yeah, you're right there with them, or at least you're now clearly recognizing how right there with them you are. So we hope that this continues to empower you. This is how people change. It's when those closest to them learn, empower themselves, educate themselves to respond different, to be different, to show up different. That's when people have a chance at change.
Yeah, and I just want to say too, I feel like we get a lot of heat for saying that, like, there's a lot of people that feel like that's unfair, and that sounds super codependent, that a lot of this is up to you, but I just want to maybe frame it in a way to help you understand there's things that are toxic and dangerous and unhealthy, obviously, that no one should stick around for. And then there's reality where when you're in a family and someone is struggling and you want to help them, empowering yourself to be the best person in that scenario so that you aren't actually contributing to the problem is the most loving thing that you can do. And it is not codependent. It is empowering yourself so that you don't continue to be abused, but it's also giving this person that you love their best chance at surviving what is trying to kill them.
It is.
This addiction.
So no matter what the world sees it as, this is the way that you
And
scream.
It's not fair, because I get it. Not everybody has an awesome family.
Correct. This is the way that you get to scream loud enough that maybe that person struggling can hear you.
Yep.
And that's a perfect segue. My goodness. Did you plan that? Because that wasn't even...
No, we've been getting a lot of feedback about that. And it does break my heart because I know that there are people who wish that they had a family that would fight for them and help them. And I wish that we had the ability to solve that world problem. We don't. So what we're trying to do is have an effect on those that actually are reaching out saying, hey, this is going on in my family. What can I do? Well, we're telling you.
And I know we do get a lot of pushback. My response is always the same. Well, of the tens of millions of people struggling with addictions, why is it that 95+% of them never get help? They didn't think they needed it. So someone or something has to intervene. So this is a perfect segue because there are there's a couple more, but 5 main ways that families deal with addiction that are toxic.
Yes. 5 very toxic ways that amazing families.
None of them intended on this becoming toxic, right? It all stemmed from the best of intentions. It stemmed from a good place. But let's get into them because I hope that by identifying these, people will recognize clearly what they're doing and how to change just enough that we can actually get through to the sick person. Should we get into them?
Yeah.
Okay. Number 1, they keep secrets. You guys have seen it, heard it. The mantra to our life is our secrets keep us sick. We got great hats on our website. You can go order other merchandise. Do you intentionally keep details about your loved one from other people in your family? Do you cover up messes so others don't find out how bad things have become? Do you help your loved one out but hide it from other people you think might disagree? Secrets are what keep your loved one sick, and you have made and developed secrets of your own. Secrets are the toxic soil addiction needs to not only grow, but to continue growing. This is a tough one. At the root of my addiction and anyone else is secrets. Those secrets can vary. For some, they can seem trivial. For some, they can be really deep-rooted trauma-type secrets. But as an individual progresses in their addiction and they become more and more sick, others around them harbor secrets too. And it could be things that you're doing intentionally for them, directly to them, or it could just be feelings that you have about it. Like in my family and most families, other people in the family are starting to develop resentments and frustrations, anger, whatever those are. Those feelings turn into secrets that they don't share, and this drives a wedge between people.
Yeah, I think it's very, very common, probably the most common thing, that someone that you love, their addiction becomes your secret. And it's not because of any reason other than that it seems really private, right? Like you don't feel like you should share information about this person that you love, that you're worried about. It's also the stigma of it. There's just so many reasons why this happens. So if you're like, oh shoot, that kind of called me out, don't feel bad. It's the most common thing, and it's a very natural, normal response to this situation. It's just now that you maybe are hearing this, you can see why it would be actually very toxic, not just to you, but to everyone else.
Well, here's the compassionate side to understand why we do this. It stems from good intentions. Like a very specific example, one that I hear almost daily. A family's aware, right? Let's say they have a son or a daughter in the family that's struggling. Everyone in the family is aware to some degree that there's a problem. But let's say mom discovers something crazy, even like someone got arrested or discovered something really crazy. She keeps that secret from dad. Why? Not all the time, but let's just play this out. Why would she keep that a secret from dad?
She doesn't want him to get involved, like to become angry about it and lash out and make it worse for that person, or to blow it up into something where everybody else knows about it. I mean, it's kind of like if the circle's kept small, then, you get to control the information.
Yeah, she sits and looks and says he's already frustrated. It's already stressing him out. I'm not going to share it because he's already to that point. Or they keep it a secret from the other siblings because they don't want to make anyone worried or hurt their feelings. This is a lie that addiction uses to keep people stuck right where they are. And what it does is it prevents you from taking action because I think it's pretty obvious why.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So think about that. Do you have secrets that you keep? And are those secrets possibly affecting your family dynamic?
Well, I know last point is at the root of all of this is codependency. Most of the time when it's when it's mom, dad, spouse, sibling, and we develop this codependency from a lot of these lies, and most of them are the secrets. Your secret even could be how much you're angry or resentful at your loved one for what they're doing to themselves and the rest of your family. But yet you're neutralized from even expressing those, so you just keep it a secret inside.
Yeah, so what happens? It just gets worse and worse and worse.
It just gets worse.
Grows. Okay, so toxic behavior number 2, you minimize the truth with the purest intentions and usually all of your faith. You protectively minimize the truth about your loved one's problem. You say things like, oh, it's just porn, or just alcohol, or it's not as bad as so-and-so's kid that I know, or so-and-so's husband. Doing this is extremely toxic, and it's very dangerous because it gives the addiction exactly what it needs to take hold.
Time.
Oh.
I stole it from you.
You did.
Oh my gosh, I thought that was going to be fun.
Time.
More time to keep thriving. So let's talk about the why. Let's talk about why does this happen, and then why is it so toxic?
I mean, why? As a mother, that's the most natural thing, is to protect your child, or even to protect your spouse. And I know so many women that get stuck in this because they don't want their own family to know what they're dealing with, right? They're so worried that if someone knows, then they'll never be able to forgive that person, or they'll pull the brake, they'll tell you to pull the brakes on everything. It's so terrifying to actually face that truth and to say it out loud.
It hurts.
So you want to minimize it.
It hurts.
You want to say it, make it smaller than it is.
Well, I love it. You said at the beginning, you included, and usually a lot of faith. This is one that really hinders good people, like good Christian, God-fearing people, is we minimize it with the good intentions.
Absolutely.
Because it actually hurts. I'm going to share something. A woman in our group, she's amazing. Like, this woman is amazing. Shares some of those powerful things. Little backstory. Her husband's a sheriff or a police officer. I can't remember which one. Alcoholic. It got bad. She got into the program, gained the tools, the support, resources, did everything. He's now like 6 or 7 months into recovery, and it's amazing. One of the biggest breakthroughs for her on this topic, she shared this little quote. It says, "You won't see it for what it is until you stop looking through the lens of what you want it to be."
Oh, so powerful.
Huge. I've shared it multiple times in group. When we minimize the truth of what's going on, I think in a lot of situations in life, like behaviors, seasonal depression someone goes through, a bad relationship, I can understand where we justify it in those situations. But in this specific situation where a loved one is becoming sick and will eventually die from this fatal disease called addiction, when we minimize it, we are unable to acknowledge it for what it is. So your loved one that's stuck in the trap of addiction, can I help give you a perspective of where they're at? The addiction has caused them to lie and manipulate to themselves. They can't actually even see things for what it is. They know what they want it to be. They're confident that someday they'll just pull out of it, but they cannot see things today for what it is, that they are taken, that they're captive, that they're powerless. They can't see it. But when you don't look at things for what it is, and you kind of look at it in a lens from calling it minimizing, or what you want it
like
to
your
be,
rose-colored glasses, right?
nothing happens. And we are not talking about a seasonal depression or a poor behavior or a poor relationship. This is a fatal disease that is taking the lives of millions. So we actually have to see it for what it is and stop minimizing it.
And can I just say, I just want to say this from my perspective. I've seen this a lot. And one thing that rings true with particularly women in this scenario whose spouses are struggling, they can't tell the truth, or they have to minimize the truth, because if they speak the truth about it, it's almost like they have to let go of their dream of their family. It's like they are manifesting the failure of their family. If they say it for what it is, then they have to say, so none of this that we've been working towards is ever going to happen. Our family is going to fall apart, and all the dreams that I had for my family are going to be washed away. And that is a horrifying place to be. It's so terrifying that you would do this, that you would actually convince yourself and others that it's not that bad. Because admitting the reality of the situation, it's too hard.
And from personal experience, when people like join the program and they, for the first time, admit out loud, like when a spouse or a parent gets in the program and they say, my loved one it's progressed to this point, this is what's going on. It's almost like this huge, like, oh, they just dumped it out. Mm-hmm. They finally said it for what it is. And for a lot of them, it was the first time.
Yeah.
They didn't even speak it for what it was to their siblings or to people at church. They always minimized it. And it was almost just this empowering moment. That's what I hope you hear in this. Why is it so important? It's empowering that you stop hiding behind this facade. You see it for what it is, that you're not crazy, that something needs to be done.
Right.
It takes the fuel and the momentum from the addiction and it gives it to you.
It does. It does. It's actually like this energy transfer.
Yeah.
If you're able to take that fear and use it as your fuel to actually do something, then everything changes.
We got to move on. Can I share a personal story? I don't know if I've shared this before. My addiction progressed over years, right? Fully functional for a long time. I was fooling everybody. Then all of a sudden I wasn't fooling them. It progressed to where consequences started showing up. It was manifesting in my life clearly. No one was denying it. Everyone still minimized it. Why? Because over the years of my addiction, they were trained to do certain things. My addiction lied and manipulated them to create these patterns of behavior like this. Mm-hmm. It was in the parking lot of a county jail. Some of my family, I can't remember who was all there. I was obviously on the other side of the plexiglass. Horrible, shameful moment when your family comes to visit you in an orange jumpsuit. But it was in the parking lot on the way out where my youngest brother, and I think at this point he was in his teens.
Yeah, I think he was very young, like maybe 14 or 15.
He started screaming at my parents, specifically my dad. And I can't remember. I think he even like swung at my dad or something and just started yelling. I'm sure he was emotional. And he just said, when are you guys going to wake up? When are you going to wake up and see things for what it is? See how sick Danny is. See the situation for what it is. That was an empowering moment. Like they took the power back and they finally just saw it for what it was and stopped minimizing it.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate that I had to be in that situation. You don't have to wait for it to get there.
No, you don't.
And last thing, don't feel like you're doing a disservice or something hurtful to your loved one. I think that's what's hard. We don't have to go post this on your social media page to all these strangers, but in your circle of influence with people you care about, your religious leaders, your community, whatever that looks like, start saying it for what it is.
Oh, yes. You have to, or else the isolation will kill you.
But it's challenging and most people don't. That's why it's one of the toxic ones. Okay, So number one was they keep secrets. Number two, they minimize the truth. And number three, they make exceptions. Most families have a specific standard that they live by, right? They uphold. Everyone follows these certain standards. When those standards or rules aren't kept, there's consequences that follow. In families where addiction is present, and again, remember, this never happened overnight. This happens gradually as addiction progresses. This happens. In families where addiction is present, those rules apply to everyone except the addict, the sick person. They have a different set of rules they get to live by, and the consequences are never held. This creates toxicity in two ways. One, for the addict who gets to make their own dangerous rules, and two, for everyone else who starts building resentments and hostility. This happened in my home. I've seen it happen in every single home of every family I've worked with. It is so much easier said than done, however. And the reason why most of you have fallen victim to this toxic behavior is out of fear.
Yes.
Desperation, lack of understanding, lack of resources, lack of tools, lack of support. You've been literally trying to survive. Mm-hmm. And sometimes every time the situation has become so volatile, so toxic, that anything outside of that is just accepted because you're just like, wow. And you know what? Most of you, it's because you're exhausted. You're tired. It's worn you down over time. So you do tolerate and accept things from this person that the rest of the world isn't allowed to do. And you can see, you already know that this exists in your home without a doubt. Your kids, if it's your spouse, your kids can see it. They recognize it. You understand. It's unfair. It shouldn't be happening. And the only reason that it is because over time, you were lied and manipulated to and worn down to a place where we just all of a sudden are allowing things to happen, which never should have.
No. And what you just said, I don't even know if you realize you said it. This only happens because of fear. It truly does. Like every single time you think about holding a boundary or having a standard in which they're going to have to live by, and you pull back and say, no, it's okay. Like they don't have to. It's because it's rooted in the fact that you think that if you even push them, if you even so much as whistle in their direction, they're gone. You will lose them forever. They will die. They will leave. They will run, and they will blame you for it. And you're going to be left with this feeling that like, oh, I shouldn't have pushed them that hard. I shouldn't have expressed that to them. I should have known they're different than my other kids. They can't handle this much. And that is a lie.
Well, it goes back to the two before too. It feeds into like at beginning, you are keeping secrets, right?
Yep.
It wore you down. We're minimizing the truth.
Yep.
It feeds into this. There's someone in the program who's been around for a while. She's kind of like a mentor to a lot of people. She's worked an incredibly hard program, her own healing. And she always says, you can never expect them. They can't ever respect your boundaries if you don't respect them. But follows that up with saying, no one's able to even put these boundaries in place without professional support, without continued nourishment that comes in the form of community. You have to have resources to continually remind you, or else you fall victim to all of these toxic ways that we've covered and are going to cover. None of you make exceptions for things that you shouldn't because you've just failed, right?
No, it's never that. It always fear based.
And over time, you were worn down and put into such difficult situations.
Well, and then it's just that we fall into these roles as families, right? Like every family has a kid that they are just the valiant one and they are just going to toe the freaking line. And then there's the train wreck kid and you can't expect anything out of them, right? So it's totally unfair. It's totally toxic. And it's 100% in your control to say, no, this isn't that. I can't control this person's addiction, but guess what? I can stop perpetuating the problem and the resentments that are building by allowing this person to play by a completely different set of rules as everyone else.
Yeah, I can change how I respond to it. And most of all, I can change how it affects me. 3 of the last 4 spouses that joined the group there's been this huge disclosure that's been really painful. And each time it caused a lot of emotion by everyone in the group, including myself. is when they talked about how they made exceptions to things they shouldn't have. Mm-hmm. But here's the kicker. It's for how long it happened.
Oh.
So these three specific people I'm referring to, for some, it was like 5 years. For others, it was 10, 12 years. These are amazing people. So everyone falls victim to this.
Yes.
We have to see things differently. I hope this helps you to recognize the need to change, because when we make these exceptions, even though if I would have told you years ago that you were going to accept these certain things, you would have said never.
Never.
Then when you hear all these amazing humans that have now not only accepted it, but it's been 5, 10, 12 years that they've been accepting this. That's the power of this disease, not only for what it's done to your loved one, but what it's done to you. So I hope that helps.
Yes.
Okay.
All right. Number 4, blame controls the narrative in your home or in your brain. And let's be clear, addiction requires blame to survive. I think we did an entire episode just about this topic.
A couple of them.
So definitely go back and listen to that. But if you and your family get stuck pointing the finger of blame, even if you are right, you are contributing to the problem. The fact is that even if there is something you can pin the blame on, it does not excuse their reckless behavior. I know that's hard to hear, but it is the truth. Blame neutralizes your ability to help, and it keeps everyone's focus in the wrong direction. You can't change what already happened. You can only change moving forward. So that if we're stuck there, we're just stuck. We're in mud, up to our necks.
Blame is a huge obstacle. And I love that you described it, because often, remember, it may be trauma. There may be something very specific you can pinpoint that kickstarted the person's addiction. Or it could be completely that they just started out of curiosity, made some stupid decisions, peer pressure. During their addiction, they experienced trauma. Blame is an enormous obstacle. And here's the best way to help empower you rather than to neutralize you. If there is something very specific to blame it on, let's say that they were sexually abused, neglected, hurt, bullied.
Or let's say you were a horrible parent.
Say you were a horrible parent, had a horrible divorce.
Or a horrible spouse.
Yeah, your job was stressful. It created a horrible version of you. Let's say, which has been quite a few of the last people that have joined, your loved one has a serious ailment, Asperger's. Maybe they have like serious mental health. Mm-hmm. Maybe there's a serious challenge that they have. You see, blame is a major obstacle, because as long as we keep focused and pointing fingers at that blame, we never address what's standing in front of it. It's standing in front of it is this thing, addiction. And sometimes people have a hard time relating to addiction. Let's just call it a dependency, a need to self-medicate.
A poor coping skill.
Whatever you need to call it. Until that is removed, see, we never get to actually address the underlying issues. If there's something significant to blame it on, right now, blame is holding us back from having a chance to work through that, to heal from it, to get the support necessary to overcome that. If your loved one has something like the last person today I spoke with, it's like, yeah, they have Asperger's, like this, there's this challenge and that's why they do this. Okay. If we're ever going to properly treat that, approach that, and learn how to live a healthy life with that, we still have to remove these things that are preventing us from having a chance to do that.
Right.
So whatever it is that you're blaming for this, great. If we want a chance to overcome that, we still have to look. Again, I love that quote. You have to look at things for what they are right now rather than what we want them to be. And right now, your loved one is self-medicating with things that have got to be removed so that we can work on that thing that you're pointing at and blaming. Yeah.
So if you're thinking, are any of these true? It's okay if they are. It's totally okay. If you're like, oh my gosh, I've been blaming it on this for 10 years. That's okay. we can do better now, right? That's the whole purpose of being able to identify which one of these toxic traits is going on in my family.
I'll cover the last one.
Yeah, you do the last one.
And I'm not calling you guys that. I guess dads are guilty too, but man, you moms and you spouses, you wives.
Oh, it's the women 99% of the time that are for this next one.
I don't know. My dad did it too, but you know what? You women who are just so able to do so much.
Connie Chung's out there.
Oh my gosh. You become the lead detective. Now hear me out. Someone self-appoints to catch their loved one lying, cheating, stealing, using all the above, right? You're going to catch them.
If somebody's using, you're going to know about it.
It's easy to become obsessed with the addict and with trying to prove to others how sick they are. The problem is this type of behavior not only makes you look crazy, it actually makes you feel insane. This is where you lose yourself and lose your grip on reality. Get ready. I'm sorry. This one hurts. This is where you start mirroring your addicted loved one's dysfunctional behavior. There are classes, groups, books, countless books, professors who speak on codependency. Codependency at its most basic fundamental root is relationship dysfunction, relationship addiction. That is nothing that someone just gets overnight. It's learned. It happens in a progression of event after event after event. Almost everyone that we read before leads into this. But here's why this is so exhausting. Is it consumes you into, like I read, proving something. And that space in between when you haven't proven it yet, it starts to make you question and doubt yourself. Mm-hmm. And because you become so fixated, this is where I see it a lot, especially with spouses, and it just breaks my heart, is they become so consumed with their loved one that they start to look and manifest as being crazy themselves. Mm-hmm. And then guess what? It's the family, right? That's all a few steps removed. That's kind of pointing fingers going, well, no wonder Johnny's out doing that. Mm-hmm. Because Sarah over there is losing her mind.
She's insane. Look at her being so controlling.
If you have found or discovered your loved one doing something, using substances, abusing substances, drinking, looking at porn, and then there's periods of time where you can't, stop questioning yourself. Stop doubting yourself. You can clearly see whether you can find the evidence or not, if they're in recovery or not. One of the biggest indicators, humility and willingness. If your loved one's not exercising either of those, you can just take off the lead detective hat and stop worrying about it.
Yeah.
You already found the evidence. The crime scene's already been done. But this is one that everyone does. Why? Because I feel like if you find the bottle, if you find that video, if you find the paraphernalia, then you can point a finger to be like, aha, I told you. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Even in those cases, rarely does it do anything.
No. So that's what I was going to say. The reason why that is like the worst is because let's say you busted them. Now what? Now what? Is it your job to control them? Do you think that you can control them? And if you do, I'm so sorry to break your heart. That is nothing but an illusion.
Well, guess why it feels important? Guess why it feels important? I'm trying to be practical because once you find that, you feel like you have leverage. Aha! You can hold it in front of their face.
Yeah.
See? But even in that case, you're still giving them threats. You're giving them requests.
Yep.
Aha, I found it. You better go get yourself help.
Yep.
Aha, I told you I wasn't crazy. That isn't a solution. Mm-mm. But the most dangerous part is the period of time in between when you actually found it. You showed up as the worst version of yourself. You lost track of who you were. You lost your footing. You lost your way. You stopped caring for yourself, nurturing yourself. You became sick right along with your loved one. So that's the part I know is so horrible. It's so unfair. Mm-hmm. But if you don't recognize these toxic ways, this is why addiction takes hold of someone. And then what it does simultaneously, they call it the codependent, is it takes the person closest to them and it drags them down with them.
Yep.
All of this, I think, is clear. When we state it, I'm sure you see it. You can recognize, okay, I'm guilty of doing that. I can see that's not helpful. I can see that's toxic, right? When we talk about it. But then there's the practical thing of love in our heart that makes this all so complicated. And it's why addiction takes your beautiful heart. It takes your love and your faith, and it does these things. Creates secrets. We minimize. We downplay. We make exceptions for. Not because we're weak people, but because over time we've been lied to. And I hope at the end of this you remember one thing. Please separate the person you love from the disease that they have. This is not to condone their behavior at all, because what they're doing is wrong. But it feels so uniquely painful that this person is doing it to you and they're not. They're sick with the same illness that tens of millions of people have. So when you separate the person from the disease, what I hope it does is empower you, stop making it so painfully personal, and you just can see it for what it is. That way we can strategically approach this, that you can finally wave your flag and say, okay, you know what? That's it. And instead of doing what the 99% of people do, which is, I'm done. I'm done. I'm done with you. That's all I ever hear. No, it doesn't work. It hasn't worked for anyone. Instead of saying that, just say, I'm done fighting this battle alone. Get yourself empowered. Get yourself supported. Get yourself the tools in your tool belt to stop these toxic behaviors and start responding and showing up for your loved one in the way that they need you to, in the way that you need to for yourself. But if you think you're going to do that alone, you can't do that alone.
No.
So stop doing it alone. But when you say you're done, don't just say you're done and move on. Say you're done doing it this way and do it the right way.
You know, I just finished reading Let Them. I'm sure many of you have read that book. This is the part where we're saying, let them. They're doing what they're doing. Now let me. This is that portion. You are going to do what you need to do now. And so if any of this is just like making your ears burn, going, oh my gosh, yes, schedule a call and learn how to get involved with our private community. We are a powerful group. These families, these women are stunning in the way that they support each other, and the way Danny is involved is just, it is unlike anything else I've ever seen. So, and it is what will be required to survive this experience. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. Get your voice back. Get those standards back. And you're not doing it from a place of anger or resentment or fear.
Nope.
You're doing it empowered, supported, and fully aware of how to best help your loved one. It's the most beautiful way.
So I'm going to close us out.
Please.
With the serenity prayer for families. God grant me the serenity to accept that I cannot change other people, the courage to change the person that I can, and the wisdom to know that it is me.
Have a great week, you guys.